Okay, let's unpack this. You're in Malaysia, right? You see a gleaming BMW glide past. And, well, the immediate thought for so many people is doctor, top executive.
Yeah.
Someone who's clearly climbed the ladder of success, got the bank balance to prove it. We've all caught ourselves doing that.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really powerful assumption here, isn't it? This idea that the car you drive isn't just transport, but it's like a visible symbol of your education, your income level, even your sort of social standing, like a mobile resume on wheels.
Exactly. Yeah, a mobile resume. I like that. And that's precisely the territory we're exploring today. Our mission really is to delve deep into this connection, or maybe this perceived connection between cars and, well, worth. Specifically here in Malaysia, we've gathered quite a bit data, studies, some interesting observations to really understand what's going on, under the hood of this whole thing.
Okay. So maybe to start, let's just establish how central cars actually are to the Malaysian experience.
The numbers are quite telling, actually.
Mm.
There's a 2021 Nielsen Malaysia report. It revealed that over 93% of Malaysian households own at least one vehicle.
93%? Wow.
Yeah, that puts Malaysia right up there among the highest rates in Southeast Asia for car ownership.
So clearly, for most people here, cars are much more than just a way to get around.
Definitely more than just a utility.
And what's fascinating is how that same Nielsen report really highlights the cultural weight attached to owning a car. It's not simply about getting from A to B owning a car, and maybe more specifically which car you own. It seems deeply intertwined with ideas about social standing, about achievement. It's a tangible way people signal success.
Yeah, we see it play out all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Certain models just carry this prestige. Think about a Toyota Velfire pulling up somewhere. It often suggests, a certain level of affluence,
Mm-hmm.
or like a Mercedes-Benz C-Class.
Yeah.
That tends to evoke this feeling of established success.
Right. Definitely. And it's quite remarkable how this translates into different social settings. Think about attending a wedding or maybe a Raya open house with the whole extended family, or even just arriving for a job interview. The car you step out of can kind of inadvertently set a tone. It prompts these immediate, often unspoken judgments before you've even said hello.
Absolutely. It happens in seconds. So the core question we're grappling with in this deep dive is this. Does driving a fancy car, a more prestigious car, genuinely mean higher education or, more money? Let's see what the sources actually tell us.
Okay, well, there's a 2021 paper from the Journal of Consumer Research that offers a really insightful angle on this. Their research basically indicates that we often use these visible material possessions, things like cars, as cognitive shortcuts to quickly sort of assess someone's social class. It's our brain trying to make sense of things quickly with limited info.
Right, that makes sense. It's faster than having a whole conversation about their job history or a degree. A quick glance.
Exactly. But here's the interesting part, where the findings get really thought-provoking. The study strongly suggests these outward signals are, well, frequently unreliable. They can lead to pretty inaccurate conclusions. They use this great contrasting example. Someone driving a luxury car might actually be deep in debt just to keep up that image, while, someone in a modest proto-axia could be a completely debt-free, highly educated professional, maybe even a university professor. The car is just a superficial thing, not really a dependable measure of what's actually going on financially or educationally.
That really challenges those first thoughts, doesn't it? Those automatic links we make. Makes you pause.
It really does. And supporting this further, there was a 2022 study from UKM, University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. It specifically looked into why people buy luxury cars here in Malaysia. And the findings suggested the main drivers weren't necessarily, just having loads of disposable income from a top job or needing it for work. Instead, things like peer pressure, that feeling of needing to keep up social comparison, and this deep desire for recognition, for validation, those came out as key motivators.
Ah, okay. So it's often more about projecting the image, gaining that social approval, rather than it being a direct mirror of their bank account or professional need.
That seems to be a big part of it, yes. It adds a really crucial layer to understanding this whole phenomenon.
Interesting.
And it becomes even more interesting if we sort of zoom out and look at examples from, say, more economically developed nations. We see quite a contrast sometimes.
Yeah, our sources mention places like Germany or Switzerland, where the whole transport picture can look quite different.
Precisely. In those kinds of contexts, it's not unusual at all to find really accomplished professionals, professors, top software engineers, even CEOs, choosing to commute by bicycle or using really efficient public transport.
That's a picture that might surprise quite a few people here, I think. The CEO on a train.
Well, a 2020 report from the OECD helps explain this a bit. In many of those developed nations, choosing public transport isn't really seen as a sign of lower status. Not at all. Instead, it's often linked with things like environmental consciousness, or maybe a commitment to fitness if they're cycling, or sometimes just the practical efficiency of getting around busy cities. The values driving those choices can be different.
Okay, so it's a different set of priorities guiding those decisions, maybe less focused purely on social signaling through the vehicle itself.
Exactly. And our sources give us some really striking real-world examples of this mindset, like Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA. Hugely wealthy man, right? But he famously drove a pretty standard, reliable Volvo for years, nothing flashy.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that.
Or think about Warren Buffett, one of the world's most successful investors, still drives a fairly ordinary car, lives in the same house he bought decades ago.
Yeah. Those examples really hit the point home, don't they? That massive financial success doesn't always have to mean flashy spending. Which then brings us back to the question, why? Why is this link between cars and image so particularly strong, so persistent here in Malaysia? What's driving that?
That's a really good question. And the answer is probably pretty complex. Historical stuff, societal norms, maybe even how our cities are built could be a whole other deep dive. But for today, let's maybe bring it back to you, the listener, especially if you're, say, between 20 and 40, figuring out your career, your finances here in Malaysia.
Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really practical, right? It's about maybe rethinking what we personally see as markers of success, shifting focus from just the outward symbols, like the car, to something more, I don't know, internal, about actual achievement.
Exactly. And this is where ideas like lifestyle inflation become really relevant. Financial literacy experts, from places like Ringgit Plus or iMoney Malaysia, they talk about this a lot. It's just so easy to fall into that trap, get a pay rise, upgrade the car. It almost feels like you should, as a sign you're moving up.
But, like those experts often warn, constantly upgrading can seriously eat into your ability to save, to invest, to actually build long-term financial security. That money going into car payments, insurance, petrol, it could be growing somewhere else.
Precisely. And it's just vital to remember for most people, a car is a depreciating asset. Its value goes down over time. So unless it's genuinely essential for your business, or you live somewhere with zero public transport options, overspending on a car just for status, it's rarely a smart financial move in the long run.
Right. So the message seems to be maybe prioritize investing in yourself, your skills, your education, your financial foundation, rather than pouring everything into projecting an image through a car. True worth is built differently.
That's the heart of it, I think. It's about cultivating a new standard, maybe. A new perspective on what success really looks like. One that goes beyond just the badge on the bonnet.
So perhaps the next time we see someone driving, say, a Proton Saga or a Peroto Amivi, we can make a conscious effort not to jump to conclusions about their life, their abilities.
Yeah. And conversely, when that luxury car pulls up, maybe we don't automatically assume ultimate success or genius intellect. It really invites us to think about a shift in our collective mindset, doesn't it? Like, what if we started valuing those inherent qualities more? Education, integrity, actual competence, things reflected in someone's character, their knowledge, how they act, rather than just relying on the car they drive as a shortcut.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. So, yeah, how might our society change? How might our own values shift if we focus less on these outward symbols like cars and more on, well, the genuine qualities and accomplishments of the people around us? Definitely
Right.
something to mull over.